Okay, I got something I want to show you guys here. It's gonna blow you away. It's gonna be wild, even more wild than my hair doing the cow lick thing off to the side again. That's how exciting this is, all right? So yesterday I was in a thrift store with my mom. We're just looking around at like the old dishes and jewelry and knickknacks from like the 1940s or whatever. But then I found this. The ultimate weapon. Truly a Saijo Awazamono graded blade. Whoop slaps cane. Oh my goodness gracious. It was a marvelous time indeed. I also found some Magic the Gathering cards, but they weren't really that good. There was one that looked really old and it had like a black flower on it. Didn't even look that good. So I just, honestly, I did that lady a favor and I took that and I bought them just so I could throw them in the incinerator. Okay. But this cane though, check this out. So, this got me thinking of a video that I was going to make a little while ago, a few chapters back, chapter 1115. There were some more scenes. This was back when Vegapunk's message was still playing. We saw a scene at Kokoyashi Village, the village where Nami grew up, and Nojiko, and Belmir was there until she was thrown in the dungeon, and Genzo and everybody, right? And so the message is playing, and Vegapunk is talking about, oh, Quasar, sea levels have risen 200 meters, the world government's lying to you all, the will of D, you know, he's like going on and on about all this crazy stuff, and, you know, Genzo is there, and he's like, this is insane, I do not know how to handle this. I think Genzo is the mayor of Kokoyashi. He's like the sheriff, but I think he's also the mayor of that place, and he's like, I don't know what to do about this, this is ridiculous, and Nojiko, Nami's sister, is just super chill about the whole thing. She's just like, you know what? I'm going to go back to my Tangerine Grove because I left it alone to come into town to watch this message, but I got to get back to work. And Genzo and everybody in the village is like, Nojiko, what are you talking about? This is like world-altering shit right here. Like, this is like the end of the world, apocalyptic stuff we're finding out about. Like, 800 years ago, the ocean rose 200 meters, and Nojiko is just kind of like, fill me in on it later. Like, and this was a very fascinating scene, and I love how I mean, like, I get it. I do, because, you know, I come up with wacky theories as well. And I actually do kind of maybe partially wish this was true. People were thinking that Nojiko left because she actually had something to do with this. Like, there's some reason. It was like, oh, wait, we're finding out about the Void Century? I know what I must do. And Nojiko, like, went back to her house to grab something or something. Like, because there's a theory, because Nami and Nojiko originate from the Oikot Kingdom, which is somewhere in the east. We don't know exactly. It's just Tokyo spelled backwards. But there's this theory that Nami is like the princess of the Oikot Kingdom. Like, her parents were royalty, and then the pirates came and wiped out, and the Marines, like, you know, Belmir saved them and brought her over to Kokoyashi Village on the Konomi Islands. So that's the idea. So people always want that to connect back to Nojiko and Nami in some way. Personally, if that is true, I'm envisioning a world where Nojiko is watching, like, Vegapunk's message, and she's like, it's time, and she walks back to her house, and there's like a secret trap door under the rug, and she like unlocks it and opens it and goes down into like the armory, and then Nojiko puts on like a flak jacket and like a bandolier, takes like a giant like gun, like a shotgun, you know, like Linda Hamilton or Sigourney Weaver, you know, and just like, okay, Nami, it's all right now, your big sister's coming to help. You know, and she's got like grenades and shit. She's like loading up and everything like that. She walks out, and Genzo is like, what are you doing, Nojiko? It's like, well, I was always told, Belmir told me that this might happen someday. I'm here. He said, no. So what it is, and I think this is what Oda was going for, aside from Nojiko being a badass, which she kind of already is, and also the idea of Nami being a queen, which she also is Nojiko represents the typical civilian mentality in the One Piece world right now. Because you have to play the role of just a normal person living in the One Piece world. I know we see a lot of crazy stuff going on. Devil fruit users and people with crazy amounts of haki that can knock out an entire army. And you got Rayleigh and Roger, some of the strongest characters ever. You had the Yonko, you have Blackbeard with his sinister plans and everything in the background. Wang Zhi is out there somewhere, right? The zombie of rocks is probably out there somewhere. But most of the people in the One Piece world, they're just bakers, man. They're just farmers and I don't know, like, what's another, like, middling kind of accountants or something. No offense to anybody that's an accountant. There's somebody at their office right now watching my videos as an accountant, just like, oh, just like, no, it's fine. You keep on accounting, buddy. You keep on accounting, all right? But no, yeah, there's just normal people in the world, right? Even like Iceberg, who is the mayor of Water 7. Iceberg, as a mayor, he's probably spending a lot of his time just filling out paperwork and going to, like, dedication ceremonies and, like, cutting ribbons for a new schoolhouse or something, right? Like, that's just his normal day, okay? Nojiko, her reaction is like, okay, a long time ago, there was a time called the Void Century, and the government doesn't want us to research it, and the big thing that happened then that they don't want us to research is there was a kingdom that was technologically advanced, and then something happened with this great war, and there were these ancient weapons that could destroy the world, and there was this guy named Joy Boy, and then the ocean level rose 200 meters, and that's the world we live in right now, and then those weapons might still be out there, and yada, yada, yada. What does this have to do with my Tangerine Grove? I mean, I guess in theory you could say, well, the ancient weapons are still out there and could therefore flood the world again, therefore destroying your Tangerine Grove. But okay, more importantly, from Nojiko's perspective, and the perspective of most civilians in the One Piece world, what can we do about this? Right? Like, that's kind of Nojiko's perspective on this. I don't get the impression that Nojiko is not interested at all in this. Like, it is a fascinating story. It's a lot, and I do believe she believes it. I don't think Nojiko is like, Vegapunk, he's lying. I'm going back to work. Although I'm sure there was a lot of civilians that would probably have that mentality, of just like, yeah, Vegapunk, he's got to be off his rocker. I think it's time we take the old man and put him in a retirement home. I'm gonna go back to my radish farm, right? But more than anything, it's, yeah, okay, what am I supposed to do about this? What am I, as a tangerine farmer in a small little tropical village in the East Blue with no devil fruit power, with no haki, I don't have some crazy, world importance. What am I supposed to do about this? If the world floods, and I will have nothing to prevent that or expedite it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way that probably Nojiko is viewing it. And she's going back to her Tangerine Grove. She's going back to the thing that she loves, which is a keepsake from her mother, Belmere. And she, I don't want to go this dark with it, but she probably ultimately is like, okay, well, if the world is going to end and a giant spaceship is going to nuke everything, or if the planet is going to flood, or if anything like that is going to happen and we're all going to die, I would rather be at home with my tangerines, my home that I grew up in with Belmere, where I have all the happy memories. I don't think that's what Nojiko was like, I'm going to go home to die, but it's just like, look, this is really world-ending stuff. I am not a main character in this manga. I am a side character in one arc, and I haven't really been shown since. So Nojiko's like, I'm going back home, all right? So, yeah, this is a fascinating thing on how exactly, and I know a lot of people might not care too much about this, and I know I've seen a lot of people being actually upset over the idea that Vegapunk's message hasn't really revealed any big new information to the fan base, like us reading the story. It certainly has, like the 200-meter rise and everything like that. That's a big one. But a lot of the stuff that Vegapunk is mentioning, we kind of already knew. Like Roger's crew was the only people to find out the true history. We already knew that. The ancient weapons are around. We already knew that. Joy Boy, we kind of already knew. I mean, like, yeah, I guess we found out Joy Boy was from the ancient kingdom and he was the first pirate. I can understand why that's not big, giant, revolutionary information to you or me, because it's like, yeah, we could kind of assume. We assumed that Joy Boy had a connection to the ancient kingdom. We assumed he was probably, like, something to do with the origins of piracy, okay? So, yeah, I get that from our perspective, but it is very, very important to the regular bakers and farmers in the One Piece world to learn about this stuff. Okay? Because there's a revolutionary army whose entire purpose is to fight against the government and dethrone the Tenryubito and be like, the Tenryubito have had their way with us for the final time! Revolution! You know, like, that's the whole idea, okay? So what better way to kind of drum up support and get people to go and sign up for the Revolutionary Army than it would be for this? Vegapunk coming out and saying, yeah, you know that Void Century the government told you to not research and they'll punish you by death if you do that? That's messed up, and here's the reason why. There was this giant war. I'm not going to say who was in the wrong or who was in the right, but there was this war, and there were a bunch of people that fought in the war, and there was a guy named Joy Boy, and there were the allies of the nations, and then these big giant ancient weapons attacked, and they're still around, and I might have had a hand in powering one of them up. I'm really sorry about that, everybody. So it's like all these taboos of the world government that for the last 800 years they have been like, you shall not research the Void Century. You shall not discuss the Void Century. You know, first rule of the world government, or first rule of the Void Century, there is no Void Century, right? So now it's like, all right, the whole world knows about it. Well, the Gorosei can't execute everybody. Well, I guess they might try, but I mean, they were talking about purges, but I don't think that even when they were discussing the purge, I don't think they meant the purge on, like, this level. Like, the entire population. I guess not the entire population, because, like, we saw Gaimon in the last chapter with Sarfunkel, and they're just walking around on the island of rare animals. They're not even listening to the message. So, at the end of the day, Gaimon and Sarfunkel, the Gorosei just murder the entire population, and then they eventually get to the island of rare animals, and Gaimon and Sarfunkel have no idea what's going on, and the Gorosei are like, all right, well, I guess you can live. And then Gaimon and Sarfunkel are the last people on the entire planet. But no, yeah, they can't execute everybody, so now the cat's out of the bag. And you see that with the reaction of the Gorosei. Like, they're kind of freaking out by this, because they understand that once Vegapunk does this, there's no going back, all right? So I certainly think that a good solid chunk of the world at large is going to join the Revolutionary Army, and this is perfect, right? So I also don't want everybody to overlook just how cool it is that Oda is showcasing all of these locations. This is such a monumental moment in One Piece for me. And it might not seem like a big deal to everybody, but like, this is a 25, actually, it's over 25, it's almost 27 years now. 27th anniversary is coming up very, very soon, later in July. 27 years of this manga. And all of the places the Straw Hats have went, all of the people they have met, down to, like, just, like I said, Gaimon, who only shows up in, like, one chapter, way at the east, right? All of these locations, Oda is going back, and he is showing every single one of them. There's a few that he hasn't yet. In fact, oddly enough, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, we still have yet to see the Baratier's reaction to this, which is weird, because that's where Sanji's from. We haven't seen, like, Zeph and the Cooks reacting to this, but I think that's, like, the only major one. There's some other ones, like Duval. No, we did see Duval. We saw Sabaody. We saw so many people. This is Oda, like, celebrating his manga and being like, these are all these places all over the world. Wouldn't it be so badass for a lot of these people to join the Revolutionary Army and be maybe not a big role, but just a supporting role in taking on the world government together? You know, I rewatched the last season of Samurai Jack recently, which already came out like 7 years ago, which is crazy to me. But remember the last season of Samurai Jack when they brought it back on Adult Swim and everything after, like, 20 years? And the last episode where they just take all of the people that Jack met through his journeys in the first series, and they just all attack Aku at once, like this big giant war, like all the people that Jack helped. And it's a trope. I mean, it shows up in other works of fiction, right? Like the idea that, like, all of the people you met up until now are now fighting on your side, Baldur's Gate 3 also. But like, and there's so many more, like Lord of the Rings as well. But like, the idea is Dragon has a revolution, and he needs people to work in that revolution, okay? So it's like I don't know, Dalton. So Dalton and the Loppins at Drum Island, they were like, we will join the revolution to take on the Tenryubito. And then then you should have Dalton and Kureha and like an army of Loppins showing up against the Tenryubito at the final battle or the final war at Laugh-Tale or wherever it might be, right? Okay. And then you cut to the Whiskey Peak bounty hunters. They all show up and they're led by Mr. Nine and Miss Monday, and they have their, I don't know if they would bring their child to a battlefield, but like it's all the bounty hunters and stuff from Whiskey Peak. The bounty hunters of Whiskey Peak, you have our swords. And hell, on top of that, all the former Baroque Works agents show up too, right? You got Mrs. Merry Christmas and Mr. Four and Miss Golden Week and Miss Valentine. Mr. Five, they all show up and they attack, right? The Galley La Shipwrights show up and they're just like, we will fight with Tilestones there yelling, like, we will fight with you, Straw Hats. And Polly is doing his rope action shit and everything. Even people from like the East Blue, like, the cooks from the Baratier, like the Baratier just shows up and just, time for some dinner. Patty and Carne come out with like giant like harpoon guns or like that giant meatball cannon thing. Zeph comes out and Zeph is in his pirate outfit. Zeph is like, Sanji needs me for the final battle. Looks like the old Redfoot's got one more battle left. And Zeph goes into his closet and he opens it and he pulls out his old tattered captain uniform. And I mean, it's really tattered because it's like they spent like 2 or 3 months on that rock, and his coat is all ripped to shreds and it's sun bleached and it's old raggedy and everything like that. But it still bears the cook pirate Jolly Roger on the hat. And he's like, all right, men, this isn't a job for cooks. This is a job for pirates. And they raise the cook Jolly Roger over the Baratier, like the Baratier becomes a pirate ship. And then he puts on his old outfit and he comes on and Zeph is beating the crap out of a bunch of people. Like, this might be the setup for that. I mean, if you keep going, it gets more and more ridiculous. Like, the veggie pirates from Syrup Village show up and like, yeah! I don't know if the veggie pirates are gonna show up and help. Mary shows up. Mary picks up Kuro's old claw and is like, I will fight with you. It's like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. But like, Hachan and the rest of the fishmen and merfolk, they show up. Aladdin, who's the sun pirate captain now, he shows up. Jinbei's there. He's like, guys, you came. And it's like, of course we did, Jinbei. Of course we did. In the memory of Fisher Tiger, we fight. And it's like, yeah. Maybe each of the Straw Hats have like their own not a team or something, but like army that they lead or something like that. I don't know. Usopp can lead the Tontadas into battle. Oh my God, Usopp. So the Tontadas are there, like the Usolan pirates. They show up. And Leo is there. Everybody. The Sariyama Alliance arrives, and Usopp's kind of heading them up. We learn that like Usopp is also a descendant of Noland or some shit. I don't know. But they have Cricket. Cricket would be there too. He is legitimately the great-great-great-great-grandson of Noland or something, right? So we have that. Oh my God, who else? Who else? Anything from Thriller Bark? I mean, Perona could show up and help. Dude, you know what? That would be, why not? Why not? Moria survived. He made it out of Hachinosu and everything. Perona saved him, I guess, because Kobe helped, right? So Kobe and Sword obviously would show up and help. But also you have like Perona and Moria there, and then Moria uses his powers to resurrect a bunch of zombies and they're fighting against the government or whoever, like the final battle, right? But it would just be wild as shit to see that at the end of the story. Dude, I'm really hyping this up now, but I want to see that so bad. All right, like, because it is like, using Baldur's Gate 3 as an example, I played that game. It usually takes me about a month to play through that game at like the pace I usually do, and a couple hours a day, and I make sure to find everything and collect everything. And even after a month of playing Baldur's Gate 3, at the very end when all of the allies are there to like help me in the final battle, it's really touching. It's like, oh man, this journey's coming to an end. Can you imagine this on the scale of a 27-year serialized manga? You know what I mean? Like, I want to see, I no exaggeration, I want to see Curly Dadan, ride up with the rest of the mountain bandits from Kolbo Mountain and I want to see Whoop Slap also there leading the charge. It's just like, all right, Whoop Slap comes out. There's like a war zone going on in the background. There's like artillery shells blowing up. Dadan is there, and it was like, let's charge. And then Whoop Slap steps out, and he's like, I've always said I hated pirates. Those pirates, they always ruin everything. I swear to God, I'm gonna be the one to take them all out. Whoop Slap versus Blackbeard. Blackbeard's there lording over all the chaos like, what's this? And then Whoop Slap's there, and he's just this old man, and just like, all right, are you the boss of these bastards, you son of a... and Whoop Slap just, you know what he does? He doesn't even hit Blackbeard with his cane. He just like roasts him viciously. All right, he's just there, and he just goes on, and then Blackbeard probably kills him. But you know, like, it would be cool as hell to see Whoop Slap at the very end, like, you know what? I'm at the end of my life. I've lived my whole life in this tiny little village that I've been the mayor of. Time to pass the reins to someone else. Makino, you're the new mayor. I'm going to war. Cut to Makino, and she's like, oh, I'm coming with you. She pulls out like a bazooka and just like, oh no, I'm gonna go save Luffy. I've been on the sidelines for too long. Cut over to Makino. She's got like all decked out like a mountain bandit, and she's got like a giant scimitar or something. You know, I will fight alongside Luffy and Shanks, and just like, all right, let's go. In all of Fuchsia Village, all like, even the fishmonger guy is just like, yes, let's go. I'll smack him with my fish. Let's go. Luffy's hometown fights with him. Like, some of this is definitely not going to happen, but some of it I totally could. Like the Galila, shipwrights, and like the Loppins and stuff at Drum Island, you could totally see them showing up for the final battle, right? And then Nojiko's also there with Genzo and all of Kokoyashi and everybody to help fight alongside Nami. So there you go. Yeah, let's do it. Why not? Final battle. Everybody needs to be there. Even normal civilians, the Revolutionary Army can arm them and train them. So even like, honestly, like... I said this as a joke with, like, Mary and the veggie pirates helping out, but, like, you know, like, the revolution could be like, all right, we could give you a job. I'm not saying, like, the veggie pirates are, like, little kids. They're not gonna, like, fight in the front lines, like, charge! But they could have other jobs in the background, like logistics and stuff, like carrying stuff in the battlefield and carrying off injured people. I could actually even see a scene like that. There's this big epic war. People are being injured. Ah, my arm! And then you have a scene where the veggies are, like, putting him on a stretcher and carrying him over to the doctors, and Kaya is one of the doctors, and Kaya's working with Dr. Kureha and the other doctors of Drum Island, and they're like patching up the sick, and Kureha actually like looks at Kaya and just like, oh wow, you're a pretty good doctor. How long have you been a doctor? It's like, oh, I'm in training. And she's like, oh, you're really good at this. You should come to Drum and I'll teach you some stuff. You know, like, you can see it, right? You can see this going down. Oh man. Okay, well, I'm going to stop here because I feel like I could just keep going on and on and on. And then the Skypeans show up. And then the Rosy Life Riders ride into battle, right? And then, like, I could just keep going and going and going, and it just never ends. But you could see where I'm going with this. And, man, that would be an epic way to end this final battle, like a final war like that. Absolutely phenomenal. Let me know down below what you think about that. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Techic signing out. Go to that end screen, baby. Woo!